All right, so I was advised that maybe I should do something on why I wrote the book Swing the Hammer. Um, and I wrote that because 75% of American adults have monthly financial anxiety, which is crippling them, compounded with the APA study that was done over 7 years from 2007 to 2014 that said the number one disability in America is depression, and the number one cause of depression is financial anxiety. Wow. How can that be? 75% of adults are suffering from financial anxiety. I'm not really sure suffering is the right word, but whatever. That's the word they used. Okay. So that was sort of like the first cause. And in writing this, obviously, I did a bunch of research and then also interviewing, not really interviewing, talking to existing clients and then thinking back on old clients and trying to figure out, like, what's the real purpose of all this money stuff? What does it really mean to you? And it came down to finding happiness and living a happy life. And what does that really mean? And yada, yada, yada. Read the book. There's a whole happiness formula in there. It's good. Or so some of the reviews say. So that's great. One of the things that I had in the book touched on this idea of financial punchlines. And then maybe what I'll do with these little videos is kind of pluck a little bit of the book out and maybe go into a little bit more detail or modernized detail about that stuff that may be left on the editing floor or just stuff I have thought of that I'm saying, I wish I had included that in the book. But one of the things is the idea of the financial punchline. And the financial punchline is really, it's a cliche about money that we hear, and it's not always executed properly. So a penny saved is a penny earned. What does it actually mean? That's a financial punchline. What does it actually mean? And, it means that, hey, look, if you saved a penny, it means you didn't spend it. And so now you have, like, there's power in having that penny. And that's really the sort of emphasis of the book is like, you have choices. You have choices here. That penny is yours, and you get to determine what you do with it. We talk about the metaphor swing the hammer. Hammer is a metaphor for money. So the whole couplet is this. Just because you have a hammer doesn't mean you're a carpenter. Just because you have money doesn't mean you're happy. Let us help you swing the hammer. And that's a little couplet that I've used for many, many years. And eventually it became the title of the book because that was clever and it was original. So hooray for us. But I want to go through some of these financial punchlines. And I have a few of them written down. Oh, yes. My first one here is a term that hysterically gets told to me at least once a week, usually in casual settings. And it is this phrase, I'm a long-term investor. Is it good to be a long-term investor? Yes. You have to be a long-term investor. Buy companies that you believe in. Buy mutual funds that you believe in for the long haul. But there is a element here of like the Ron Popeil rotisserie chicken. Set it and forget it. And it translates into I'm going to be an absent-minded investor. I'm going to be just an absent investor. I'm going to throw a bunch of money in this, and I'll see you in 20 years. I'll see you in 40 years. I'll see you when I'm ready for retirement. Boy, I hope it grows to something. And that's not really what the long-term investor phrase is. It is used as a smokescreen for laziness. let me just say it right out. It's a smokescreen for laziness. There are times when you need to make a change. Okay? Maybe it's age, maybe it's income, maybe it's an opportunity came up to invest in a business, and boy, all of a sudden you need a big slug of cash. Can you use the money that has been growing exponentially? It's been compounding. For that, I don't know, but there's times when you may need to take a look at that. So when you hear long-term investor, I get it. I hope it doesn't mean that it's lazy. Here is the other side of how it is misused. It is misused for ego because it sounds like you're very experienced and you're wonderful and you're a long-time investor, long-term investor. I'm going to be in this for the long haul. And what they then ask me is, every week someone says this to me, I'm a long-term investor, usually followed by, I'm very conservative. I'm a conservative kind of guy. And then they proceed to pepper me on what the next hot stock is going to be. And if you know me at all, you know I don't know, and I don't care to know. But they really want to know what the next morsel of excitement is going to be in the market. I have some folks that ask me about, well, what about shouldn't we short that stock? And I'm looking at them like, what? No, you should not short that stock. What is wrong with you? You know, you have a net worth of $400,000. Let's not use the strategy that people that have, $20 million and can withstand a $400,000 hit. Let's not use that for you. Leveraging. That's another one too, actually, leveraging. I'm going to leverage my money. Leveraging is wonderful. It's definitely a great way to earn unbelievable amounts of money. The risk associated with leveraging when you don't have a lot of money is 100% disaster. That's the risk. So if you want to take the risk, hey, look, if you want to take the risk, good on you. Get someone to, do that with. It's probably not going to be me because I'm going to lose sleep over it while you're not. But go ahead, take the risk. Life is about risk. Totally get it. Awesome. But holy cow, folks that do this do not have an appreciation for the kind of downside disaster that is right around the corner. Most investors take big risks and fail. That's why it's a big risk, and that's why the reward is so big. The reward is big because the risk was big. You want the next hot stock tip, Mr. Long-Term Conservative Investor? Do you really? Do you really? The average market risk means that you're willing to lose 20% of your money tomorrow. High risk? Lose 100% of your money tomorrow. Are you willing to take that risk? Check your ego and make sure you're ready for that. I think I find that most of the time these folks are bored. It's usually folks with a few bucks. These are not 20-year-olds, but they're mostly bored, and they just want to have some excitement in their life. They have an engine that's producing some income. They have a system in place. They've had discipline. They've grown into a certain thing, and they're sort of saying like, man, I really don't want 10 years. I don't want to have to wait 10 years for this to go from 400 to 800. Like, can I cheat the system? I'm smart enough to know how to cheat the system. Look, if you are, great. Good luck to you. You and I are not going to do it together, but checking the ego and making sure you understand what your motivations are before asking for the next hot stock tip, super important. All right, so that's long-term investor. Let me get to the other two. Live below your means. On the surface, great phrase, live below your means. I totally love it. There's a guy named Dave Ramsey. I'm going to butcher it. There's a guy named Dave Ramsey who says something like, live like no one else will, so you can live like no one else can. That's kind of a cool little turn of a phrase. It kind of means like live ultra, I don't want to say poor, but live way, way, way below your means. Way low. To maybe where someone would say, dude, spend some money. Right? Like get right on that cusp of really spending very little money to live way below your means. Sock the rest of it away. Do whatever the investment is in yourself. Great. Do that. Really sock it away. So 20 years from now, 30 years from now, you can live like no one else can live because they've been blowing their money. That's a great one. Live below your means. Definitely a little ego boost you kind of need here. I kind of like it. Kind of saying it's okay to do that. What else I hear is that sometimes below your means is misinterpreted. People will often say, well, we don't spend a lot of money. And I'm fairly polite when someone says that to me, especially if it's a new client. And I will say, okay, that's great. That's awesome. I love that you don't, frivolously spend a lot of money, but you should spend money on yourself. You should experience life. But, good. You found some happiness there. That's great. And then I look at their cash flow statement, which I've then created for them based upon the data, the financial data and moving parts that they've given me. And I'm like, yeah, they got a $16,000 a year wine budget that they don't know about, So live below your means doesn't necessarily mean I can make the payment. Cars are like this. Wowzers. The amount of times I see people leasing cars for $2,500 a month. What is happening? Well, I make $10,000 a month. Good for you. You're spending $2,500 of it on a car. Unless you are a car person and that thing is giving you an unreasonable amount of happiness driving it, and I don't just mean ego boost. I mean like legit, you love the driving experience for whatever reason. I think spending a quarter of your pay gross on a vehicle is a little too rich. But they can afford to make the payment. Afford to make the payment is another one too, because they really can't afford it, but they can make the payment. But you throw in the little identifier, I can afford to make it, all of a sudden it actually changes the meaning. You can't afford it, but you are. But you are affording it. It's nuanced, sure. Last one. This one kills me because it hurts to say it. Invest in your future. I like the idea of investing in your future. I will tell you this right now. There is no bigger money-making machine that you will ever find than yourself. There is not a bond fund out there. There is not a hot stock. There is not anything else that you can invest in that is going to make more money than you. So I like the phrase, invest in your future, but I don't like the word future. I would like to change this to invest in your now. Invest in your now, because that's what you need. You're investing now. Investing in your future? I don't even really know what that means. I'm going to invest in my future 401k. You don't have a 401k now? I do have a 401k now. I'm investing now. I'm investing in myself. Let's just drop the whole time frame thing. Invest in yourself. Great. Here's how it gets put poorly, and it is sold by colleges and universities, and they say, invest in yourself, come to our college, give us your money now, and prosperity will soon befold you. And that's not really what they're saying. What are they really saying? Do you know? They're saying, go into debt with us right now, and hopefully you'll be able to pay it off later. But we're not investing in you. You're investing in you. We're merely taking the money now. Thank you very much. Really need folks to get this through their head. And I say that as a huge proponent of education and higher education. You know, I have a bachelor's degree. I have 2 master's degrees. My wife has gone to college. She has a bachelor's degree. I mean, it's like, yeah. My 2 sisters. My one sister has a PhD. We're an education family. It's getting to the point where I don't know. I don't know if college is worth it. I hate saying that. I'm so frustrated by it too. Because I believe what you can learn through a college experience is actually really good. Yes, the academics, but also the social aspect of it. Most people poo-poo that. I am telling you, that's a huge part of, like, here's real life. And then you go to the colleges and you say, wait, what's happening? You're coddling them. This is not, like, the college experience is not about coddling them. We're not going back to kindergarten here. We want it to be hard. We want every aspect. This is boot camp for life. We want every aspect of that to be hard. Stop coddling them. And then the cost of college just keeps going up. And so do their endowments, by the way. What's up with that? We could do a whole other thing. So I'm really torn. I absolutely love the idea of my kids going to college. I am saving right now to put my 2 daughters through college. Yes. I'm talking out of both sides of my mouth, and I'll admit it. And I'm grappling with this. I'm struggling with this. But boy, I got to tell you, it seems like becoming a master plumber is a fantastic, fantastic path. You can always read history books. You can always go to the library and read history books. Are the professors adding real value? I don't know. I don't know anymore. I used to say yes, and I don't know anymore. So those are my 3 little fun things about financial punchlines. Here's what I like about them. They're memorable, right? So as long as you know what the actual real deep down purpose of it, and there's tons of them. You know, you got to diversify your portfolio. You got to invest in your future. There's another one. Pay yourself first. That's another great one. Money doesn't grow on trees. There's a bunch of them. Time in the market beats timing the market. That's a little nuanced. I don't know if you guys hear that one. It's a little more industry related. But as long as you know the real deep down meaning of these, they are memorable. They're simple to communicate to another person, so to kind of get their juices flowing, and kind of stimulate their understanding of stuff. And then maybe you can have a deeper conversation of it. Maybe a little bit motivational. Invest in yourself. Go get it. But the problem is that there is an oversimplification, and I think ultimately it leads to laziness. I think these phrases lead to laziness, or at least ignorance of the risk involved in whatever the adage is, whatever the cliche is, whatever the punchline is. It's certainly not one size fits all advice, right? One size fits all advice is, one person, it might be really wise for one person to get a 3% down mortgage. Might be advisable for another person to get a 20% down mortgage. Might be advisable for another person to just get 100% mortgage. You know what 100% mortgage is? You just buy the house. You don't go into debt at all. You just buy it. Why, Brian, you're not going to be leveraging your money. The money you save by putting that money to work in the market will certainly exceed the pace of the mortgage rate. And blah, 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 blah. Yeah, great. But there might be other things. I always say this. There's a mathematical answer, and then there's a financial answer. And then there's the right answer for you. There's the mathematical answer, which is devoid of things like increasing ownership and market. It's just a math answer. Financial answer kind of takes into account the whole moving parts of all the systems that we have here. And then the right answer for you takes into account your situation based upon the people around you and what is likely to happen because of that, which is not something you can plug into a math formula or a financial algorithm. So keep that in mind. There's a lot of myths out there about how to manage your money. Ultimately, there's only one way for you to manage your money, and that is the way that is best for you. Taking a bunch of advice from a bunch of different people, filter it through their biases. I certainly have biases. I told you I'm very much in the education camp. But do that and just avoid getting the financial punchlines wrong. And I think you will be much, much happier. And that is my little piece about financial punchlines. Thanks.